Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it, said by the great philosopher George Santayana. Hey everyone, it's been a while since I've made a video, but here's another book review. With this book, Generations, The History of America's Future, 1584 to 2069, by William Strauss and Neil Howe. Now, first things first, what is this book about? As the name implies, it's about various generations in American history. United States specifically. 15 different generations, each with different characteristics. And throughout the book, each of these generations, run in cycles. And those 4 cycles, through all these random groups, generally run like this. In each cycle, the first generation is idealist, which means they're more spiritual, they do more inner work. They're usually a grand generation of poets and writers and people of that sort. Then you have the reactive generation, those who push back, those who say, you know what, we're sick and tired of this inner game. We need to go do other things. We need to be more practical. So they push back on that generation. And then following the reactive, you've got the civics, the ones who are the doers, the builders, the ones who shape institutions in society. In fact, right now in the book, it argues that right now, this generation of millennials is this civic generation. And then last but not least of the 4 generic patterns, you have the adaptives. And they're ones who basically come in and help stabilize institutions and make sure that they're equal, fair, and they start pulling back to doing more inner work. So it's a cycle that balances out 4 different patterns throughout 15 different generations. Now, as far as the future part, what I found interesting about this book right here is that it predicts a crisis around the year 2020. And lo and behold, here we are, sitting in a world ravaged by the coronavirus, impacted by the Black Lives Matter movement, and who knows what's to come. We have an election coming up soon, and nobody knows what the conclusion of that's going to be. And so, I'm a little skeptical when it comes to predicting the future, as there have been many end-of-the-world prophecies. However, it was interesting to see that this book predicted something. It didn't give the specifics, but it said that there should be, based on patterns, a crisis. And that it's going to be up to the millennials to try to rework it. Now, I've explained from some of the details, and to go through everything, this would be like a 10-minute plus book review, but I'm going to cut it. Here's the main point of this book. Each generation comes forward, the next generation generally pushes back. So if the generation's too strict, the next generation is going to push back and not be as strict. And this pattern seems to continue and continue and continue. So what does this mean? It means that with each generation, every time we try to go one way too strong, the other way is going to come forward. And so when that comes to our own lives, oftentimes, it can mean to pull back and not go too strong in one path. You could be working super hard the entire time, but miss the grander things of life. You could sit and chill and be a little lazy, but then you're going to miss the fruits that come with labor. And this is just a book that purely shows that there's a middle ground that's to be had. And that's something tough to reconcile in this generation, in this world where we're all picking one way to go, another way to go. This life has to be one way. And this book shows that these patterns continue to run. They continue to go. Now, the book is not perfect. It's got its flaws and it can't predict everything. But I agree with the general narrative that history shapes generations and that generations shape history. I give this book a 9 out of 10. I wish there were more drawings and a little bit simpler language, but it's very thorough, and if you read through it, you'll find a lot of interesting facts about different generations, like the baby boomers, like the silent generation, the millennials, you name it. And it is an older book, created in 1991, but still a book full of interesting moments and insight. And so, that is the end of my book review for Generations. Feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. Or if you want to leave a weird comment, why not? Until next time, guys, that was my book review for Generations. I hope all of you have a good one.